All right, everyone, the next thing that we're going to do is take a look at the practical steps to getting on a mission team and taking those steps to get into team meetings and ultimately on the field. You know what the first thing you have to do is? Check out your pages right here on page 8. Fill out an application. That's right, get one of our applications, fill it out in its entirety. And if you haven't got a passport yet in your possession, begin that process right now. If you do have a passport, check the expiry date on it. If it expires less than 6 months after you go on your trip, whatever your trip dates are, know those dates and add 6 months. If your passport expires at any point between those dates or now, get a new one. Apply for a new one, renew it. If you're just starting from scratch, the best thing I recommend is going to your local post office. If you are here in the Knoxville area, there is one over on Weisgarber. They have a whole passport office, but now they have a scheduling system. You have to go online and schedule an appointment. It takes about 15 minutes if you have all of your documents. That has the whole list right there. It's very easy to do. They take care of everything. I strongly recommend that. A lot of people are concerned about immunizations. What kind of shots do I need for going overseas? Well, we can answer that right away. Go to cdc.gov/travel. That is where we get our information when we give you those pre-trip goal packets. That's where we're getting our information from. We can't really tell you where to get all of those things and what to take. It's best that you consult with your own personal physician or family doctor. Tell them you are going to X country and here's what the CDC recommends. Am I okay getting these? Then it's up to you. If you are going to one of our countries, one of our nations that does require proof of a certain vaccination, we will tell you about that. Your team leader will tell you, and you'll have to show a card. Sometimes it's yellow fever, sometimes it's other ones that you actually have to show when you enter the country. But you can already look at the list and see what's necessary. The next thing is, if you are part of Park West or in the Knoxville area, we do some big events throughout the year. Coming up, we have on January 27th, 2019, we have our missions banquet. That's where we do a review and a preview of what we did in the last year and what's coming. We also have a huge missions yard sale coming up. It's April 27th, 2019. It is going to be here at this location at Park West Church, and everybody's invited. If you participate, you can work some of the hours and be able to get money towards your trip. So that's a great deal. Also bring lots of your stuff, clean out your house, do your spring cleaning. You'll be able to bless a lot of people, sell it, and we'll get money towards trips. And if you're from Park West, or if you're a church in the Knoxville area and we bring you into the family as part of some of our teams, the first Sunday of the month, we do an all mission teams training where we do cross-cultural communication, cross-cultural ministry training. Sometimes we have in guest speakers, but it applies to no matter what country you're going. Then we break off into mission teams and have our own individual team meetings. It's usually the first Sunday of the month unless it overlaps with a holiday or something. So be watching Facebook pages and your team pages for things like that. The next thing to consider on the next page, page 9, is the time commitment. We don't just have people arrive at the airport for mission trips. You don't sign up today and then we'll see you next summer. There's going to be regular team meetings that you got to be a part of. So usually we start with one team meeting a month and that can escalate. You can have a few more a month as it gets closer. Sometimes you have to have off night or off day meetings where you have to learn a drama or a skit or practice things or gather materials or language learning or prayer or your own fundraisers or an outreach. There's lots of stuff we do together before we hit the field. There's a whole list of possibilities. Look on your sheet, be reading through some of this. So what do you need to do with this packet? Make sure you're reading through it. Then go through that application, get your passport, look over the immunizations, and then we're going to continue here with other things like fundraising. All right, let's talk about fundraising for a minute. What is included in your trip? Well, with a GI trip, what we try to do is include absolutely everything we possibly can think of from the moment you get to the airport till the moment you return. All the flights, visas, documents, processing, accommodations, travel, food, water, outreach activities, things that we distribute or construct or hand out. All of that is included. Insurances, everything. There's just a few things that we can't do for you. One is your passport, so you're on your own for that. Immunizations. And of course, your spending money, your souvenir money for when you're overseas. A few of our trips, like our Nepal trekking trip or a couple other ones, require extra gear. Well, if you cross over Christmas between now and your trip, it's a great time to ask for all that gear. Save your money. There's lots of kind of yard sales, people you can borrow from. I know there's a few corporations, a few stores that do kind of garage sales of selling of gear. Great opportunities to get those. But outside of that, everything for your trip is included. When you meet with your team, you're going to get what we call our pre-trip goals packet. It's going to outline all of the details of when financial deadlines are so you can stay on track, so we can get the flights, we can get things sent ahead so everything is taken care of. So be watching for that. If you attend Park West Church, we ask that all of your donations are mailed to or sent to this address, Park West Church, which is 7635 Middlebrook Pike, Knoxville, Tennessee 37909. Make out the checks to Park West Church. When you send out support letters, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and go over that, make sure people are signing it as Park West Church. It comes here. We do a whole process for you. It goes to your team leader and you, so you can get a printout to see where the donations are coming from, the people, the donors, so you can send thank yous, how much you're getting in, and watch your totals grow over the course of time, and you'll stay right on track with those. Can you give online? Absolutely. You can go to globalinfusion.org/support. All anyone needs to do is fill out their donation information, and where it says name of missionary to support, they put your name, and we'll match that to you, and it'll add to your account. So fundraising, one of the most low-tech ways are support letters, and believe it or not, that is still the number one way people bring in support. Writing a letter. Your team leaders will go over the whole support letter guide with you, how to do it, how to develop your network. You're going to do that in your team meetings. But I want to encourage you from the outset, send out letters. It doesn't matter if you have absolutely nothing to contribute or you could pay for the trip yourself. I encourage you to get the information out so people know that you are going on a mission trip, so they can begin praying for you, praying for our teams, praying for our contacts, the countries. And you never know. I always say the people that you most expect will give sometimes give nothing, and the ones you least expect are sometimes your biggest donors. So never over or underestimate anybody. Send out those support letters, and trust me, you know more people than you think you know. And it gets people involved in what you're doing. So when we go over those support letter guides, when we do it in the team meetings, pay attention and really put everything you've got into it, because you'll see how many people will actually respond, and then they can feel a part of what you're doing as well. There's a section here on 25 ways to have a successful trip, and you don't have to go over that right now. We're going to go over that in our team meetings, but I want you to read through that. Finally, on the back, there's some expectations we have about communicating. We want you to be at all the team meetings, be there early as you can, and don't try to leave early. And if you need to stay late to talk to the team leader or your friends, whatever you need to do, let's do that. But let's be at all the team meetings. If you're going to be absent or late, make sure that you notify your team leader ahead of time. We do have a dress code for the field. We're going to go over that in our team meetings. If you wanted to prepare ahead of time so you can get packing, it's also in here. On the very back, we have some policies. Again, I'm not going to go over all of these. I want you to read them. Read through each of them, the pre-field policies and the on-the-field policies. Don't forget, you don't just represent yourself. You represent your family, your church, Global Infusion, your team. There's lots of people and entities that you represent. And I want you to think carefully when you are on the field that you represent all these people. And when you're dealing with unsaved people, they're watching you. And from my experience, people watch us a lot more than they listen to us. We can preach and preach and preach, but a lot of times they're watching how we interact with each other, how we interact with our pastors, our missionaries, our contacts on the field, and how we interact with them. So it's important that we all adhere to these policies, and at the end, you're going to make sure you've read it all, sign it, that you've read it, and turn that page into your team leader. Well, that summarizes the beginning steps of getting you on the mission field. So stay tuned for more videos on getting ready to hit that mission field and take the gospel to the nations.